Hello everybody and welcome on into Sidelines, presented by Visit Potter-Tioga. I'm Drew Patrick. On today's episode, we talk men's basketball, women's basketball, plus give you a baseball season preview. Hello everybody and welcome back to Sidelines. Joining me now at the desk, we have two senior members of the women's basketball team. Alivia Paeglow, Bella Skatell, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you, Drew.
So let's talk about we are approaching senior day and a lot of emotions that are going to go through that, and a lot of just kind of looking back at your career, kind of a retrospective of this. What has playing here really meant for the two of you?
Well, honestly, when I first came here, we had WIT our first time, so it was really like a family culture, and everyone just was it was just, you wanted to be there. And getting to play with Liv still, and Jazz and JP and all of us still being there, it still feels like a family on our squad. So that's what I think.
Yeah, it honestly has been just family through the start, even through COVID when we were all home. It was just a very close dynamic, and even this year we got really close to each other, so it's nice to just have that solid group of friends that we know we're going to keep.
I was going to say, especially looking at the careers as a whole for you guys, and you mentioned that COVID time, that not a lot of people, well, everyone, but not a lot of people who have gone through their college careers had to deal with something so dramatic and worldwide affecting. During that period of time, what was it like? What was it like being apart but still trying to have that family atmosphere?
It was hard. Honestly, it was, because we only had 8 girls, right, on campus.
We didn't have a lot. I wasn't here.
Oh yeah, you weren't. So I was here because I'm a bio major, so I had labs in person, and we only had 8 girls that we could practice with, and everyone else was at home. And it's hard because you can't really be with people. So, and we were practicing with masks. That was hard as well. But we were still going twice a day. So it was nice to be able to still have some of that connection, but it was also really hard. But it was nice when we came back the next year, and it was just it's like a party, kind of. Everyone's back.
Yeah, and even with me being home, I would FaceTime Coach Ashley and put her up propped on my fence, and then she would make me shoot on the hoop in my backyard. And then if I missed, I had to run a lap around my yard. And then we would have weekly Zooms, so it was nice to still see each other and be able to talk to each other over the internet.
Do you feel that time apart made it easier to get back with each other when you were together again?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
So with that, then how do you feel that is translated to kind of working together on being close and enjoying each other's company? How does that translate to on the court, you think?
Honestly, our chemistry, especially this year, is really good. Off the court, we get along better than we have in the last 4 years I've been here.
Yes.
And it's nice because, when you're going to battle on the floor, everyone has your back. And that's one thing I'll say about this team especially, is we always have each other's back.
Yeah, it definitely made our chemistry a lot stronger, and not seeing each other, we were all excited to get back and finally be on the court together and be back to where we were freshman year kind of thing. And I think it also made the upperclassmen more welcoming to the new girls, because we didn't know who they were. They just missed out on their senior year of high school and now are new kids in college. So I think it just made us all really close and have a good chemistry on and off the court.
And so I think that chemistry is such an important thing, especially when you're dealing with adversity like the season has been at times for you guys. But having that close group, when you go through rough patches or go through a rough season, how much does that help, that fact that you have that kind of that camaraderie to have each other's back, as you said?
I think it helps a lot, because no matter what happens, every day, that's one thing we pointed out as a team, is every day, no matter what it is we're facing or what we faced last game, every day we all want to be there. We all want to get better. We all love being there. So I think that helps.
Yeah, it does help a lot. We always say it's a new day. Like, we can think about like what went wrong and what we were facing, but it's a new day. We'll have new challenges, so we always get through it together.
So, looking, and I'm not going to dwell too much on the year as a whole right now, but looking at kind of, yeah, it's been tough. What is then the challenge to, keep on going? Like, you have lots of games. You have a couple games still left on the season, but to play for each other, to play for yourselves, to play, because this is really the last chance you guys have to play. So what do you kind of put in your head when, yeah, things can be frustrating, but to keep that motivation for you guys?
For me, it's like always have short-term memory, because with basketball, you're always going to have another opportunity. So if you mess up once, 10 seconds later, you can make up for it. So I think short-term memory is probably the most important thing you could have.
I think a lot of the thing that I think about is the younger girls, because there's a lot of freshmen and sophomores and young kids on our team, and they're going to be here for the next 4 years, and they're going to have 3 more years still. So I think part of what I think about is like they're kind of looking up to us, and they want to stay here. They want to be able to play. They want to have a better season in the future. So like them looking at us and what we're doing is going to help them in the next few years.
That's such an important thing too, because yes, sometimes as seniors, sometimes you might not be able to see the eventual success, but hope the example you set can lead to eventual success. And that can be something that at times can be really difficult to kind of come to terms with. Have you found any kind of difficulty with that, or have you found, or what's kind of the process? How do you approach in that same vein, like helping out the younger kids, knowing that, you know what, maybe I won't see the fruition, but the program's going to be in a better spot?
I would say just like Liv and I both are very big leaders, and we're more we instead of me, and I think that's important. And also with Jazz and JP, they're the exact same way. Like everything's energy, 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 because we know that those younger kids haven't really faced the adversity yet. They're not sure about it, and we know that they're looking up to us. So I honestly think that we were just given that, like we just know through our past experiences.
Yeah, and I think it helps a lot with like practice and stuff like that. Like we do try to push them and get them into like what experience they will get in the future. And like I know that like we've made relationships with the younger girls that like they will feel comfortable coming to talk to us or ask for help or like do anything like that. So I think just having that connection is really helping a lot.
The other kind of adversity in the last couple of weeks you guys had to deal with was a lot of illness and injury that you had to deal with, where there was only 7 of you available for a couple of games. So what was that like? Like, what was that experience where you're like, oh, I'm going to have to play more minutes than I'm used to, along with the fact that, oh, I can't afford to foul. Like, what in that situation, like, how do you go and approach that game? How do you kind of strategize for it when you know that, oh, we're in a real, like, we only have a select group who can play today because of things out of our control?
Well, I will say we stuck together as a very close-knit group, and I'm really proud of the freshmen because the freshmen, they stepped up, and they weren't scared, and they weren't like, oh, if I mess up, like I can't do this, I can't do that. It wasn't about that. It was just, we're gonna give everything we have. Whatever happens, happens. We only have 7 girls, and that's out of our control, so.
Yeah, and we did have 7 girls, but I think a lot of us were still battling like smaller injuries. So like we weren't all completely healthy, but like she said, we did all stick together. The freshmen really stepped up and played the minutes and did what they could, and we all just really appreciated that we all came together.
Speaking of that, like the leadership thing that you were talking about and those freshmen, yeah, you talk, a freshman like Sid, I'm sure brings you a lot of pride. Danae brings you a lot of pride. The fact that you're seeing these young freshmen who play the positions you are, who are taking things from you and getting better and showing that improvement. Danae's had a career day last week. Sydney's been finding that outside and inside, has really found her own. From that point of view, we talked briefly, but like the pride that you feel that these younger student athletes who look up to you are improving.
It's
really
I can't even like explain it. It's just on such a broad spectrum, honestly.
Yeah, it feels really good. Even with like Cadence, who doesn't necessarily see as many minutes on the floor in practice, you can see the improvement, and you can see improvement with everybody. So it's really just
her growth from the beginning of the year is crazy, and when she gets her chance to play, she's gonna go off.
So looking forward, we have on Wednesday this week, Shepherd, a long travel that is also not only a long travel, but it's a team that you guys got to win against earlier this year, but it's a weekday long travel, so sometimes that can get, what is going to have to be the key in that one to leave Shepherd with a victory?
I think more composure, because it's a long day and they play a zone the whole entire game. So getting off the bus and having to shoot well is going to be hard. So we have to warm up well. We have to do all that. We have to have the right mindset. I think most of it is going to be composure and just staying within ourselves.
I agree. I definitely think a lot of energy and effort are going to have to be there. Coming off the bus after 4.5 hours and trying to get ready, we're going to have a lot of energy and play for the full 40 minutes.
And then, not wanting you guys to look too far ahead, but of course, 2 final home games for you guys. What do you think during that stretch the emotions are going to be like for the two of you?
I'm excited. I think it's going to
Yeah.
be exciting because like my family's coming to both of them. So like just them being able to see me one last time and being on our home court is going to be exciting, but very emotional.
It's going to be special. I definitely think that. And I think Liv and I will experience that on a different level since we're both going to be graduating. And we kind of started together. We roomed together at first, and we got to play together freshman year, and now we're going to get to play together again last year. And it's going to be nice. It's going to be a good.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to it, and thank you both so much for taking the time and stopping by.
Thank you,
Thank
Drew.
you.
Sidelines continues after this. Do not go.
It's all part of Mother Nature's perfect blend, the keystone of the Keystone State. Visit Potter-Tioga, a 2-county scenic outdoor haven conveniently located, yet worlds apart. A place where you can kick back, unwind, and forget about the pressures of life. Disconnect and reconnect with your friends, family, or even yourself while surrounded by nature's beauty. So start planning your adventures today at visitpottertioga.com.
Welcome back to Sidelines. Let's talk men's basketball now. As joining me here at the desk, we have 2 members of the men's squad, Michael Dickson, Scott Woodring. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
So let's talk in a very different circumstance. Your team is a very young team, you guys are, and really a season that you guys have really been able to grow throughout this season. What has been, looking at it, kind of the most important part of that, to find that on-court chemistry that you know is only going to add people to next year?
A big part of it's just preparation. I think our practices are a lot better this year with the younger guys, so just getting that experience, getting the offense in, and learning new concepts on defense are helping the younger guys and are helping us stay in games and grow moving forward.
Definitely our growth as all young guys. We're a young team, so everyone's trying to learn the offense, like he's saying. We're going to be a scary unit a couple years from now, definitely.
So, and that's a really important point, the chemistry point of it. You bring in a lot of new people because it is, Mike, you're one of those new people, so you can come at it from that angle that you add a bunch of new faces, you have a key amount of returners. What was the key to getting it to really kind of gel quickly?
I think it was just basically just being ourselves and just meshing our games together because, you know, everyone's from different spots and different areas, so just bringing that all together and just learning more about each other, getting that chemistry down.
So let's take a look kind of at the season thus far. This week, on Monday, was a matchup at Lock Haven. That game in the second half kind of dripped away, but let's talk about that first half. A game's going back and forth. What do you guys have to do kind of to maintain against a team that is pretty good this year?
Keep our composure. We were doing fine the first, 15, 16 minutes, and then maybe someone got a little tired, and then their fans, we haven't had a game like that, with a crowd like that in a long time, so they were into the game. It affected us heavily. They made some threes, and then they just got hot, and nothing we could do about that. I mean, we just got to stay, as a young group, so we're not really experienced. Our older guys would say, calm down, just relax, and we're thinking, the crowd's in our head, and we're thinking, let's go, 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 and it just got to, our speed just put their level that day, and it just, unfortunate.
Just getting back to that point, you just got to stay even keel through it all. The highs and the lows, just got to stay medium between that. And it was hard. It was a good atmosphere, fun atmosphere to play in, but it was hard being on the road. As we know, it's hard winning on the road. So
I think that's also kind of pretty unique about the team, or really important, maybe not unique, but important with your team, is you guys really like to try and control the pace. And what is the key to trying to get your pace established? You have a lot of teams that show press against you and who want to speed up the game, and you guys kind of want to let it happen, take your time with it. What is the key to try and keep that pace in your favor?
It's just a very important thing, and as a point guard myself, it's like if you're playing at my pace, you can't stop me. It's like we're a fast group. Me, Jordan Montgomery, Dries, we're all some fast guys. We're fast guards, little. And if we can play fast, we can score that way, then you can't adjust to that. If we slow down, I think we're all at the point where we can slow down or go fast. So everyone's kind of pressing us, trying to slow us down a little bit, because once we get out and running, you can't stop us.
exactly, and a big part of that's getting stops and defense and just getting rebounds, because when you get rebounds, that starts a fast break. So especially when we got athletes like Michael and Idris and Jordan Montgomery, it makes it easy just to get a rebound and go. So it's definitely a plus having guys like that.
And also plus having guys like that. Mike, you've had I've called you on a broadcast like the Energizer Bunny type player of the team. Injuries put you into the starting lineup there, kind of doing that both, but in both of those roles, to be that quote-unquote Energizer type player, how important is that to your game to really be an athlete, to bring up, all right, let's bring that energy back up?
Let me see. In the beginning of the year, I had to find my role in the game. So I think the first 3 games, I kind of knew I'm the 6-man energy guy. I kind of knew we needed that. And then I guess it kind of got in my own head a little bit. I got to go in and bring energy up. So in some games, I would go in there thinking about it too much. But I mean, I love coming off the bench for this team. I love being able to get the gym and excited, the crowd into it. I think I'm definitely a guy that we need out there as a 6-man. I think I'm one of the best 6-men in the conference, to be honest. But a lot of things that I do, I definitely think the team goes off of me sometimes. I keep the momentum going. It's a big thing to me. I'm happy I'm in that role.
And Scott, for you, a player who starts the game, and in the games where you see Michael come off the bench and bring that energy, how much does that help you guys on the court who've expelled that energy already, some of it, and then you get or try to feed off to get some of it back?
Yeah, Michael definitely brings a spark, kind of when things are a little dull out there and we kind of get in a little lull on offense, maybe the ball's not moving or we're not getting out in transition as much. Michael comes in off the bench and just brings that spark and brings a lot of energy, and like you were saying, he brings the crowd into it, which is big, because that's big for momentum, and especially in basketball, that's momentum shifts. It's a game of gears, game of runs, so when we have those good runs, then good things start happening for us, and that's a big part for Michael.
And then your role, Scott, too. This is a conference that has very talented bigs, as I'm sure you've seen going against all of them. The aspect of your outside shot that you have, how important is it not only to draw up that big man out of the lane, to clear up a cutter like Michael or Idris or someone going in there, but also be a threat out there? How important is that outside shot to your game?
It's big because it opens up the big inside for guys, for guys like Mike and Idris who like to drive, when they don't have anything, they can just kick out to me, and it helps spread the floor. It keeps my game three-dimensional, so the defense doesn't really know what I'm going to do, if I'm going to step out and shoot or if I'm going to try to get to the basket or post up. So it definitely helps out my game and spreads out the floor more for our team.
So what has been the biggest kind of step of improvement from last year to this year for you feel, in your game?
In my game, definitely the outside shooting, like the three. I've taken more threes this year and more mid-range jumpers. I'm still working on it, but it's definitely got better from last year, and just trying to be more confident in my game and everything, all the tools I have to work with.
So looking, and again, I'll keep going back to it with the chemistry of this team, because I think it's so important to a group that is very young and has no one getting a senior day this year because there's no seniors on the team. So having this group back and being able to develop yet still kind of be under the radar, how important is that, looking again to the future where you all get that additional off season, the first off season as a freshman really to have a full season, now a strength and conditioning coach to really help in that aspect too. How important is that to maintain that chemistry, and what are the strategies to maintain in the off-season training?
I think we need to get in the gym together in the off season, like all of us, like just get together somehow, find a way. I think we all have the same mindset of let's get in the gym, let's work, and come back next year ready to be better. Like guys like Manere, work on his outside shot, Gabe, keep doing his thing. Let me think, who else? Myself, obviously, Scott. Everyone's looking to get better. I think we just keep everyone disciplined and everyone focused, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, definitely think the game experiences and seeing how other teams play and just how we have to match their physicality and things like that really motivates us in the off season to get better and, you know, earn more respect from the conference.
You know, they say iron sharpens iron. I swear, battling in the PSAC every single game, there's no iron quite like the PSAC iron every single week. This week, the first matchup is a long road trip on a weekday, which can be tough at times. What's going to be the key in that Shepherd game to really be able to get off the bus after a long bus ride and get into rhythm? Especially because, too, I think a thing that they don't focus on for the men's game is you guys aren't going to get off and play right away because you have the women's game right there before, so it's a long bus ride and more waiting. What is the key to, on a long road trip like that and a long wait for the women's game to finish, that you have to do to keep loose, to stay in the mindset, to get into a rhythm? What is the key to that?
A good night's rest.
Yeah.
I think everyone just needs to be focused on the bus ride. 4 hours, wow, that's long.
It's a long bus ride.
We've done it before, though. We've done 7 before.
Exactly. Definitely just before the game, get the music going, stretch, everyone just locked in and focused up before the game, and I think we can compete.
Yeah, I think just everyone just doing their thing. You know, what you do before a game, like whether it's music or whether it's just silence, just to get in that routine and just stick to it and just be ready to play. That's what we try to do.
The importance of trying to figure out the people who want to be like in their zone or the people who want to talk things over. Is that an easy thing to notice right away? Like, or is that something you kind of get a feel for throughout the season?
I kind of noticed it right away. Guys like Aaron Satt, he's a talker. Aaron will talk. Jaden wants to talk. Jordan Montgomery, he wants to be in his own zone. Don't want to talk to anybody. Music going. I guess I can be social someday. I'll have a day going, I guess. Ben's real talk a little bit. Everyone's a little different. I kind of noticed it from the jump. But I think everyone kind of finds a little group. Like the talkers talk, and people who want to lock in, they go to the room and stretch or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a good fit. It works.
And then looking, again, I don't want you guys to look past that next game on your schedule, but then 2 home games left on the year, one of them being a Shippensburg team who is a really solid team. What has it been like this year playing at home, Michael? Your first chance to really see this Mansfield crowd, and we've had some great support for you guys. So feeding off the Mansfield faithful, what is that like for you, and how much of an advantage does that give you guys at home?
Well, for me, we appreciate everyone coming to the games. We appreciate that. The love is real. To us, I think it means just like, even though not saying we won every game, obviously, but like for us to lose a game, people still come back. I think it means a lot to us. The crowd definitely needed for myself. I think I need a crowd, especially with me. And then the other teams have a crowd against us. We go away games, and it's there. So I think they talk a lot of trash other teams, and they get under their skin and stuff. It helps us a lot.
Yeah, it's big. The support's big. I mean, it's kind of what you live for, like that college atmosphere and just bringing that energy. Like we're pretty lucky to have the fans we have, and it's really enjoyable playing at home and just getting that experience, the college experience that everyone wants.
A great community.
Yep.
Definitely a great community.
I was going to say, there is no court or stadium quite like Decker Gym. I swear, it is a wild, magical place sometimes.
It's a box.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both so much for taking the time and stopping by today.
Thank you for having us.
We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
And Sidelines continues after this. Do not go.
Pride and passion drives the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. From 55 NCAA championship teams, 294 individual national champs, and counting. Who's next? Make the PSAC yours. PSAC Proud is winning in athletics and in the classroom. Over 3,100 PSAC student athletes are honored as scholar athletes. It's a perfect mix of athletics and academics. It's time to make the PSAC yours.
Welcome back to Sidelines. Let's talk baseball as the season is right around the corner, and let's preview that season with head coach Andrew Chalot. Coach, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
So let's take a look at this year. Last year, a spike with this program of really some bright spots. How do you carry that momentum over to this group?
We have a really good group of kids. This is probably the hardest working group that we've had. It's made coaching pretty fun. I've found I have to work harder to be picky and get mad at practice about some things, which is a kind of a good problem to have.
Yeah, blessing there that you can dig for it. Still a lot of young players who are going to have to play in big spots. What do you think the role then of some of those returnees, some of those experienced players are going to have to be in this upcoming year to try and get those younger players ready for game situations?
While we're still young as a pitching staff, we've just kind of been in a position where even though we're still pretty young, a lot of these kids have a lot of experience. We only lost one pitcher from last year. Now granted, that pitcher broke the all-time strikeout record at the university while he's here, but we have a lot of kids that, with the exception of that, are going to be pitching in the same roles, and they're just a little bit more seasoned now. Now, position-wise, it will be a little bit different. We will be breaking in some more new guys, and to be honest, we're sitting here 9 days before we leave for our first trip, and there's still positions to be won. It kind of changes daily when we're sitting in the office, kind of jotting down what we think the lineup might be day one. It's still changing, so excited. That's why we have those 12 games before we start conference. We'll find out a little bit about ourselves. We'll find out kind of who's ready to absorb a much bigger role than they did last year and go from there.
Yeah, I was going to ask to that point, like those early games, the February games, and really all those games before conference, what are the things that you kind of look for? What are those key situations? Do you roll people through to try and see what they are in a game situation, or how do you approach it?
Yeah, because you really don't know what you have until till you play kids in games. Like you take first base, for example. Like we've played the same kid there for 3 years. Like we have two kids, we have 2 or 3 guys on our roster that we're really, really confident in, but they've never really been given, huge opportunities in games yet. And we'll kind of use, we'll rotate guys. There'll be a lot of guys playing early just till we will use those 12 games to kind of figure out who can help us when conference starts.
And then for the position players in the hitter style, of course, you lose the big bad of Asaf Loengart to graduation. What have you seen from really hitting early, as much as you can with really kind of being indoors, that has kind of stood out for you, or how do you think this team is going to be from a at the bat standpoint?
Completely different than last year. It's kind of no secret. We lost a lot of home runs from last year's team, not only Asaf, but Sam Friedman in the outfield as well. Different. We will score runs differently. We are faster. We run the bases better. We can do the little things better. We bunt better. We strike out a lot less. I think replicating the production isn't going to be the issue. It's just going to be done a little bit differently. And we're also a lot better defensively this year. I think it's just like it's a contrast of two teams. They're probably, in my time here from year to year, there probably isn't a bigger discrepancy of how a team's going to play than last year's team and this year's team.
I want to touch on the defensive aspect too. You said this team has looked to be thus far better defensively. What is going to be the key to? There's a lot of very talented teams, as you know, in this conference when you look ahead to it, that you have to be so solid defensively against this. How much of an improvement do you think that is having a solid defensive look?
It's huge. No disrespect to people we've had in the past. We are far more athletic than we ever have been, especially on the corners. That comes in key as far as limiting teams' ability to bunt. Up the middle, we have Marcus, Shander, Scherzer. I mean, these kids have all started multiple years here. This will be Shander's 5th year of starting for us this year. So, and then in the outfield, once again, what we're sacrificing, with power, we've kind of replaced with kids that run better, put the ball in play more. Our ability to take away doubles in the gap is going to be, much greater this year, and it will help our already veteran pitching staff. You look back at some of the series last year. When we swept Bloomsburg at the end, I mean, we won 18-11. And, I don't think you're going to see those types of games out of us this year. But I don't think we're going to score that many runs, but I also don't think we're going to give up that many runs either.
So looking at it through the fall and through these first parts of spring, has there been any player that has kind of stood out for you that surprised you a bit throughout this process?
I would say, Jeff Coakley would be one. He played very limitedly as a freshman last year. I probably didn't give him the credit of how good defensively he was, but he very easily could probably be the best defensive player on our team in multiple spots on the field. So he stood out. Just a lot of kids. I'll be honest, it's tough to just pick one because we have a group that just is willing and not afraid to put the work in.
And then, of course, the question I feel like I ask you almost every year, because of living where we live and operating where we live, of course, some of those practices having to be in the gym and just physically not being able to get outside work here early. What are those focuses on in the gym, and then how do you translate getting some of that stuff that maybe you haven't had a chance to outside in those first couple of games?
Yeah, truthfully, we do a lot of hitting stuff in the gym. We are fortunate with the 3 full-length cages that we can replicate some live situations in there. Like our pitchers have been able to throw live. We focus mostly offensively in the gym. Now, the good thing about this year is we've already been outside multiple times. It looks like we're going to be outside today, and it looks like we're going to be outside Friday. And next week, the weather as long as it doesn't change, looks tremendous. We may have the opportunity to get outside more before we open up this year than probably the last 3 or 4 years combined, which is big because I thought it took us about 12 games last year to really get going. And part of that was just not being able to, like, it is just virtually impossible facility-wise for us to simulate the things you need to do defensively and simulate the things you need to do from a offensive base running perspective in a gymnasium. So that's going to be the big focus today and Friday, and hopefully next week. We've got plenty of hitting. You know, that gym's open 24/7 for our guys to hit in. They can get all the hitting they want in, but for the next week, we're going to focus a lot on our defense and base running. I think we're going to be a lot more prepared to open up the season than maybe we have in years past, just due to weather opportunities in a good way for once.
So looking at this group and this season as a whole, what are kind of your expectations and goals for this group?
I think you hit, it was one of the first things you said. It's just to keep going forward. Like, we've had two really productive years in the sense that, you know, we didn't, you know, at the bottom line at the end of the season, we were still having exit meetings when, you know, other teams were playing for the conference championship, so we haven't reached our goal yet. But we have shown the progress, and like that progress has not only just shown like with our current players, but you know, the ability and opportunity to recruit better players has increased as we've improved.
Well, Coach, looking forward to it. Season, like you said, right around the corner, 9 days away from that first game. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
And Sidelines continues after this. Do not go anywhere. And that's going to do it for this show, folks. To stay up to date on all things Mansfield Athletics, head over to GoMounties.com. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.